Good morning, everyone. Hi, Jim. Welcome to Live with Jim and Anna. It's January 2016. Happy New Year. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing good. Where are you, Anna?
Oh, I'm in disclosed location. Can't tell you, but you can see by my background, I'm somewhere driving. Anyway, I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm going to Santa Barbara to see a client and spend the weekend.
Are you trying to make the rest of us watching feel bad? Is that what you're
Yes,
doing?
that's what I'm doing. So I
Okay.
put a little background to kind of distract you from that. So it's not such a sunny location. There's mountains in the background. Anyway, let's get to our questions, Jim, as we always run out of time. Just to remind our viewers that when you're watching us live, on your screen, on the left-hand side, there's a link that you can click and actually submit a question to us while we're chatting here, and then we'll try to get to it and answer it. So I want to remind you of that. So Jim, I think you're going to go first this time. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
What do you think of this crazy stock market?
Well, Anna, it goes up and down, and it always has in my lifetime, and probably always will, because it's people making decisions about whether they should own companies and that are publicly traded, and if those companies are going to increase their profits, increase their dividends, merge with other companies, or they're worried about companies and they say, gee, they may not make as many profits. The dividends may not be as large. Are you having an earthquake there?
It seems like it.
It's moving around a lot. Obviously, it's on your lap. Okay. Anyway, so the market goes up and down, but I was talking to some clients earlier today, and I pointed out to them that there's some data, and if people email one of us, info@adviceonly.net, I'll send them a two-page list of the worst days in the stock market since 1983 and what the stock market was a year later. In about 85% of the cases, and there's about 40 different days when it was down a lot more than it's been recently, a lot, that in about 85% of the cases, a year later, the stock market was up. And in half the cases, it was up pretty dramatically. So I think people, if they have a good financial plan and a good investment policy, which is for my short-term money, it's not in the stock market or the bond market. My medium-term and long-term money is, but I won't have to sell in a down market if it comes to that, because I have enough cash and other kind of safety net securities where I don't have to worry about it. So is the market crazy? No. But it certainly goes up and down, and you just have to not pay as much attention to it as long as you don't need to sell today.
I have a short-term remedy, Jim. Don't open your envelopes and turn off the radio and TV stations and move on with your life.
So you just watch Netflix? Is that what you're
That's
promoting?
all you do. Yeah, watch something fun. Don't watch the news. That's
Okay.
it. Don't read any newspapers.
Thanks, Anna. Well, answer this question now, okay? What is the best retirement account for someone who's in their late 20s?
Well, that's a good question, Jim, as I like to start. I think it depends on two things. Two things that I can identify. Number one is it depends how much income you're earning in your late 20s. So that can be concluded by saying what tax bracket are you in. And it also depends is if you have a job which offers a retirement plan. So if your job offers a retirement plan, which also may be giving you a matching contribution provided by your employer, then I would probably go for that retirement plan so then I can get a matching contribution. So contribute enough to get the match because it's free money. So why would you want to leave that on the table? Now, the tax bracket factor. So if you're earning not a very high income yet, maybe you're just out of school and just starting out and you're in lower tax bracket, maybe you can consider opening a Roth IRA because the tax bracket helps you figure out whether it makes more sense to defer income. So if you're in higher tax bracket, a lot of times people want to have you want to defer income as much as possible. So they go for retirement plans that are tax deferred. Roth IRA, on the other hand, is not. But the advantage of the Roth IRA for someone who is in their 20s in the lower tax bracket is that they're going to contribute to that account earlier, and they're going to have a lot of time for that money inside the Roth IRA to grow tax-free. So depends on how much income you're earning, but I would go first for the free money if it's available on the table. And then I would also look and see if we can do a Roth IRA, because it's also, at the end of the day, 20 or 30 or 40 years from now, it will be free money.
Thank you, Anna.
Are you ready for your next question? Oh,
Anna,
let's see.
is there anybody on chat that submitted a question?
Let's see.
Yes?
Let's see. I don't see any questions on chat. So again, on the left-hand side, there's a link that says join the conversation. So if you guys can click on it, then we can see your questions. Okay, well, I'll come back to check the chat questions in just a minute. So let me ask you, Jim, a question.
Okay.
My wife and I are thinking of buying a future home near our daughter, son-in-law, and grandson, and renting this home to them until we move there in retirement in about 5 years or so. So what do you think about this strategy?
Well, you know, that was an interesting question we got just this past week on First Friday, and I thought it was a really interesting question because there's a lot of moving parts here. First of all, this is a moderate income couple. They don't have a lot of money, meaning they have, you know, their 401ks are funded pretty well, and they'll have some pension money, but they're not overly rich. And in trying to buy a rental property just generically, most lenders these days want 25% down. So if you're in a high cost market, that could be a lot of money, and it might be beyond their capacity. So I pointed out to them that, number one, real estate loans for rental property usually pay a higher interest rate and usually mean that the lenders is demanding a 25% down payment rather than a 20%. The reason for that is people are more inclined to default on a rental property mortgage than their personal residence. So I pointed that out to them. Also, I wondered in my email response back whether they would even qualify for the second mortgage, because that's something that people have to think about too, their credit rating and their debt capacity, because that's what the credit agencies are looking at. Thirdly, if they're renting it out to relatives, what happens if the relatives can't pay the rent? Does that mean mom and dad have to take over paying the rent? And will they have the extra cash flow to take over? Or what happens if daughter and their family get a job change and they move to a different location, and now you are really in the rental business? You have to find tenants. And doing that from 25 or 3,000 miles away is a difficult job. If you have to hire a property management company, that's added cost. So I wanted them to think about all of the ramifications of being rental property owners. And also, one last thing is they move to this area 5 years from now, and maybe they don't want to live in that area anymore. Then what do they have? And maybe the property has depreciated rather than appreciated. So my advice was, look at this long and hard, because there's a lot of ramifications that you may not be prepared to deal with. That's my answer.
I like your answer, Jim. You also, a lot of times we also talk to our clients about the 10-1-1 strategy. That is something I think also for them to think about. Even though they're renting it to their family members, relatives, that's still, I think, a valid strategy when actually, if they decide to move and they're looking at properties, I think that's something to consider as well.
Absolutely. So Anna, I have a question for you. Sent in from one of our clients.
Let me double check if we didn't have any live questions come in. Just a second.
You want to get out of this question, don't you?
Sure. Okay. No, it doesn't look like anybody's asking us anything. Okay. Well, let's move on.
So this question came in. My income is going to increase by 13% this year. What is one good financial move I can make at the beginning of the year? Because it's June.
Well, congratulations, first of all, on the increase in your income. I think the first thing you need to think about is whether you're going to have enough taxes withheld. as April 15th coming up pretty quick soon, that a lot of us are going to have to think whether we paid enough taxes. So the first thought came to mind was, okay, if you're going to have more income, are you going to have enough taxes withheld? So if that's the case, then take a look at your withholdings and make sure that you are withholding enough. And if you're not, then you probably need to. You may be withholding too much. So that's another sort of review. Are you withholding enough? Are you withholding too much? And then I also like to recommend at the time when we have a windfall, whether it's an increase in income or some other way, is increase your savings. So if you're saving 10% in your retirement plan, increase the savings to 12% or 15%, so that you can actually benefit from the increased income and may not even realize by how much you can save more by just doing that. So those are two of my good ideas, Jim.
Very good ideas, Anna.
Yeah. Well, I think it looks like the sun is coming and you can't see me.
No, so, it's only part of your hair, so it's
part of my hair. Yeah, the sun is coming out. So there you go. Well, we're right on time actually today. We don't have any questions coming in live, so we'll take them offline again, right? And we'll be back next month.
Right. Where will we be next month? Do you want to predict that?
Yeah, I think we're going to swap locations. You're probably going to be in the car, and I'm going to be in the office.
And I intend to be in Santa Barbara. It's too cold back here in Maryland.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm going to Santa Barbara, so you stay there and be cold. Okay. And I will see everyone next month. Happy Friday.
Okay, happy Friday, everybody.
Bye.